Cerveza Cristal.
This is a great thing.
You'll do anything to get out of work.
You know, like Jesus.
The pickles are piling up here.
Hey, boo-boo.
But you heard all of the jokes. Welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Hey, after you're done listening to us, go check out John on his very own podcast, YouTube channel, and all around man of the town, I don't know, something. A Gen X Grown Up is what it's called, and you could find it anywhere named that, including the website.
Where they don't talk over each other.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Unless it says it on the Trello card.
Ouch. Oh, I felt that backhanded compliment.
Hey. Anyway, hey. On today's show, we're going to review current news stories related to 1980s media, and we've got a ton of things that we're going to talk about that are brand new and all of the different paths it takes us into our youths and beyond, including the tale of two roadhouses. You know, this seems like a very Hollywood thing to do, right? But it's not for the reasons you think. That not only was the Roadhouse that we got on streaming last year good, I would say even great.
I loved it.
Yep.
Well, we're going to get two more, but not the way you think. Not the way you think at all. We also, speaking about new things or old things that are new again, we're also going to be getting a new Buck Rogers. You'll remember that show that started in the late Thank you, Mel. That started in the late 1970s, went to the early 1980s. Well, there's actually a really interesting, I don't want to oversell it. It's a story. There's a story behind how we got here, too, that also involves where we almost got two Buck Rogers. But that's been settled down. Speaking of Buck Rogers, we got a new song from Doja Cat, who I'm a fan of, that samples one of my favorite TV shows from the 1980s and one of my favorite themes to sample, Knight Rider. We don't have two of those.
Oh, you're trying to work it in.
I didn't realize it was a Noah's Ark of show topics until just this moment. But
gonna load them up.
But speaking of popular music, we just a couple of weeks ago ended a near 35-year streak of having rap songs solidly in the top 40. It's one of those things that you don't know until it's gone. It's back again.
Yeah.
We're back again on track again. But that's just kind of interesting to examine how we got here. And what song kicked it off 35 years ago. Plus, I'm going to give a recommendation for a artist right now that began in the 1980s who just came out with a new album. If you really want to, continue listening to authentic sounding hip hop from that era. And finally, we're going to chat about Tron. In particular, we've got finally because this has been over 40 years in the coming now. I guess we're waiting, right? And John will be able to correct me, of course. But some legitimate looking Tron toys, collectibles.
Oh, yeah.
I say toys because I tend to think of them from that perspective because I'm still somewhat of a child at heart, getting those 3 3/4 inch figures and imagining the stories all, act out. Well, you're going to get a chance to do that. Finally.
Of the 3 3/4 inch, like the Star Wars figures that I grew up with, is that the size we're talking?
Oh yeah, they could do battle. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the scale. Yeah, and I guess some of not the 12-inch, but the later year G.I. Joes, also 3 3/4 inch. Same scale.
You remind me, John, because, when you're a kid, anything that was around roughly the same size could become part of the story.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Star Wars or G.I. Joe.
I had a few 12-inch action figures that also came into play with my stuffed animals, with a whole mythos in my bedroom.
Oh.
Certain animals were married to one another. Certain animals were enemies. And then it's a long story. I'll get into it now.
Do you have this cataloged? All this written down?
No. It's right up here.
It's right up there.
It's right up here.
I know, Kat, I'm curious too. I would like to see this in some form of media.
Yes.
With some photos.
Yeah.
There's a bunny. There's my teddy bear, of course. There was the crab. You unzip the crab, and there were 3 baby crabs inside. That was a big part of the story quite often. Rescue the baby crabs. Big deal.
Oh, rescued. I thought it was me, honey. I don't know where I got these crabs from. I swear to God, I've been faithful.
Different kind of crab, actually.
Oh, no.
More of a crustacean type of crab.
Yeah, have you seen them under our microscope, John? All right, you know what? I'm just going to stop right there. Because, I remember now, Kat, in college, freshman biology, we had, sex ed or something like that. And there's chapters in there that I'm confident were just to scare you out of having sex. because of some of the images in there. And I just had a flashback talking about this. So
I remember that class.
Back up out of
that
this
book
for my own sake. Let's move on. All right. Hey, let's move on to something more pleasant. And I'm talking about 1980s news.
Really, anything would be more pleasant.
STDs. Yeah, I remember I did a show. Speaking of college, never mind.
Oh boy.
This isn't interesting to anybody.
You got to keep up. Got to keep going.
It's not that interesting. One of the shows I did, I don't remember the context of it or if it's in the script or it must be something, but I played a character. It was just a 2-person show. And I remember one of the directions being, it's as if I had crabs. And I never had crabs. So I was just, thank goodness. I was just told it was like, your crotch is essentially, just itchy all of the time. And I don't remember why or how that manifested itself for the character. But I remember when I got that direction, I was like, the kind of homework I'm going to do on that's like, going to the library or asking around.
Was that the first play that you did?
No.
Like freshman year?
It's actually one of the last plays I did.
So that is a great story. I love that story. I thought you were going to tell the story of let me tell you the time I got the clap. Like, whoa, you're going to tell me a story about that. But okay. There's actually a story about theater, which I found very interesting. Like, please act like you're drunk and I've never been drunk. Like, how do you know?
Yeah.
What do you do? Right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember you kind of strutting around. I asked if it was the first play because you kind of times where didn't you like strut around like a cowboy, right? Like, and I thought,
a cowboy. Not that I played a Western character.
Right.
Well known. All cowboys have crabs. That's why they walk like that.
Yes. Actually, though.
It's in the saddle soap. It keeps it fresh.
Mm-hmm. Dude powder. The first character I played in College Cat was Jesse James. That's what you're thinking.
Yes, it was Jesse and the Bandit Queen, and you were doing the cowboy swagger, right?
I don't know. I was acting. Became a character. I don't say I was doing anything. That's just.
I'm not using the right vocabulary.
It was
My
the
apologies.
same problem that he had.
Yeah.
He didn't know how to walk with crabs. He didn't know how to be a cowboy.
No.
So he just made it up. I've never been a cowboy.
Exactly.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm sorry. I did it to us again. All right. Here we go. Anyway, look, check this out. This is far more interesting.
In other news,
unrelated to this. Brandon says VD makes for a well-rounded character actor. Yeah, right?
Clap
Method.
on.
Hey, so last year in 1980s news, reminder, last year, Doug Liman, we were just talking about it a moment ago, he revived the franchise Roadhouse with a streamer hit, a remake that starred Jake Gyllenhaal and MMA fighter Conor McGregor. The film, which streamed directly on Amazon, became the biggest movie debut ever with a record-breaking 50 million worldwide viewers with its first 2 weekends on Prime Video. Or so they tell us. It's a little difficult and it's sort of, trust me, bro sort of situation when it comes to streaming because there's no real way to know. Anyway, since that success, it turns out that Lyman quietly acquired the sequel rights to the original Roadhouse that was scripted by writer R. Lance Hill. And Lyman plans to make that movie, Roadhouse Dylan, which is the Scribe's sequel to the 1989 film that starred Patrick Swayze. Meanwhile, Amazon, MGM Studios, the one that fronted Lyman's movie of last year, they're moving forward with Roadhouse 2, a direct sequel to Jake Gyllenhaal's film with a new director taking over.
So, in the end, we'll have a sequel to the original.
Yep.
And a sequel to the new one in the same year maybe, or like how in close proximity.
Yeah, I guess we don't know about the timing yet, but yeah, at some point we're going to have two, and they're not related, and it's the result of bad blood. It seems. You'll recall that when I mentioned that this remake came out on streaming, well, Amazon reneged on their deal with Lyman to release the film in theaters. It seemed like it was on track to be a sort of a sleeper hit, and I believe it was at least probably mediocre to semi big blockbuster because I think it had that quality. We've talked about this on the show, But as a result of that, Lyman was furious. He first threatened not to go to the premiere at South by Southwest. He did fly himself in on his own plane to do it ultimately. But yeah, he was pissed, rightfully so. So in the meantime, he wound up, talking to Hill, the writer of the original film, and commiserating with him. Studios, right? Just fucking us over all the time. And he wound up getting the rights to make a sequel for him. Now, you may also recall that when we talked about this film coming out at all, there was some controversy over whether or not they could release it, or they had rushed to release it to avoid any copyright issues that they'd have with Hill, because at least in one legal theory, they would have expired as of November 11th, 2023 and reverted back to Hill. So there was some rumors that maybe the studio was using AI to complete it in a hurry while there was, I think it was some strike of some sort at that time and all these different things. The writer himself maintains that the script was not a work for hire, which would have given the rights to the studio, but instead was something that was done on spec, and that he has the rights to it. Now, it gets a little complicated legally, but ultimately the result is that we've got these two different tracks with two different roadhouses that have some overlap, at least thematically.
And it wouldn't be the first time in a franchise, because in 2009, we got this J.J. Abrams Star Trek that went down the Kelvin timeline. There's this fracture. So the USS Kelvin is destroyed, and that's a whole separate timeline, different than the prime timeline already from television. Yeah. That's why they were able to continue to do weird movies that didn't worry about them breaking the continuity of the standard Star Trek series that you know. Now, I know these two have bad blood and they're not working together, whereas J.J. Abrams and Paramount were working together.
Gotcha.
But why not just fracture these off and have parallel timelines and deal with this science fiction thing inside of Roadhouse? Well, this one thing happened on the beach one day and it changed the entire course of history. And we're exploring that one in this line of movies.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this idea, John. Yeah. He shouldn't have killed tore that guy's throat out. Then there's like,
right. Exactly. That was the thing, right? But there's a timeline where he didn't rip his throat out, and there's a whole, that's the Lyman series, right? Well, it started as Lyman and now it's somebody else, the Amazon series. The other one could be the Prime because it was first,
Yeah, maybe that guy goes on to have a son that's Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right.
Everything reconverges at the end.
I do like this idea, yeah.
I didn't see Conor McGregor listed as being in the sequel.
Yeah, you're right. Let's see, we got Dave Bautista, Aldous Hodge, and Layla George. I'm not familiar with Layla George. Yeah, maybe. I know we talked about this when we talked about the film. He's kind of a problematic person in real life. He was facing some criminal charges at the time, I think, and has in the past. So yeah, maybe they've just slowly moved away from him. Of course, the tag at the end of the film is that somehow he survived because he shouldn't have survived.
Suggested that he's going to come back, and so it's too bad. You almost have to address it somehow, I guess. But I guess or they won't. I mean, one of those loose ends.
Talk about walking.
I'll watch
crabs.
both.
Yeah. Wait, how?
He always looks like he's walking. That's it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's it. Yeah. When you see that swagger, that's what you need to walk with crabs. There we go.
Cowboy.
Or he's a cowboy, perhaps.
Yeah. So what I got from this reading about this is it seems so the lawsuit is still ongoing. At least the lawsuit as far as whether it's not a work for hire or not, or a spec script, because that would determine who has the rights to all of it, I suppose, in effect. That's still moving forward. Of course, they're still moving through these two different, they're still moving forward with these two different independent projects. But as this one article points out, that this case could be a test of how copyright law applies to 1980s era contracts, because, you've got a number of films. We've talked about some others before. I think it was Friday the 13th, maybe, that we talked about, that are coming up or have come up for this with this legal issue in mind. Last Starfighter was another one as well. But I thought you were going to say, John, though, is this reminds you of the time way back in 1983 when we got two James Bond films.
Oh, OMS, on Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Well, that's not one of the two films we got, but yeah, it was shortly.
Was it not?
Yeah, it was shortly thereafter that. Majesty's Secret Service was in the 70s or 60s rather.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, and
I misremember my Bond films. Okay.
Look, knowing how minds work, John, you had that O in your head, and you're really thinking of Octopussy. not on.
Thank you.
Her
I appreciate
Majesty.
that.
So there you go. That's what
Not true, but generous.
Oh,
of you.
okay. Yeah, that's how my brain works anyway. Now, I remember this being a confused. I don't blame you for being confused, John, because I remember being a young person who was a James Bond fan because my dad and I would watch them on reruns, or on TV until a new one would come out. And we saw there was a period of time where he and I saw every new James Bond movie in the theater together.
Oh, so cool.
It's been a long time since that's happened, but this was in 1983. That would have been a time period. So for fans, it was like, yay, this is 2 movies. But it was also confusing for a young person without the without as much Hollywood gossip and information as we have today, that you'd have 2 of the most iconic Bonds in 2 seemingly competing films that are independent of one another's timelines. So in 1983, we got Never Say Never Again with the original star Sean Connery and Octopussy with his replacement Roger Moore.
Were they released at the same time?
They were released within 4 months of each other.
Wow.
Octopussy came out in June of 83 and Never Say Never Again came out in October that same year. But the actual issue of how we even got there began decades earlier in 1958, before there had ever been a James Bond movie. Ian Fleming, who wrote the novels, as you know, began working with someone named Kevin McClory and others on a screenplay for a James Bond film. But when Fleming backed out of the project, McClory brought in Jack Whittingham to help complete the script. They sent it ultimately, a script called Longitude 78 West, to Fleming for his approval. But instead of giving them feedback, he just took it. And he turned it into his 1961 novel, Thunderball.
Wow.
And he didn't give credit to either of the gentlemen who wrote it.
That's not cool.
Anyway, they sued him, of course.
Yeah.
And ultimately, in a settlement in 1963, it gave the readers got a degree of credit in the novel, but it also gave McClory a production credit when the film was to be made, as well as the rights to create his own version 10 years after the movie opened. Ultimately, Thunderball opened in 1965, which would have cleared him for, in the 70s to start making his own version of it.
So he exercised his right, was just as soon as he could.
Yeah, but by the time he was legally able to do so, Sean Connery, who had been playing Bond around that time, had left for the second, and I think this is where some of the additional confusion comes in, John, for the second and presumably last time, because he first left after You Only Live Twice, but then they got George Lazenby to take over, and he was pretty much trashed as a Bond. And so they talked Connery into coming back on Her Majesty's Secret Service. What I
learned of this the most was in that great Nacelle series, where they take an entire franchise and they go through they did a whole series on Bond, as you can imagine. Right. And you go through that, and it talks through about how well the film did, and then it did, and then Lazenby was kind of not as, and Lazenby was participating, by the way, in this documentary, which I thought was awesome. And they went back and they tried to get Connery back, and what a chaotic time it was, not just for us, but for the actors who were embroiled in this, trying to portray these characters. And then, you're my favorite, you're not my favorite, you're bankable, you're not bankable. And, Connery was writing his own check to get him in and for the last time. And it was a lot.
Speaking of writing his own check. Yeah. So when McClory actually goes to make the movie, Connery's, he's not Bond anymore. He's retired from Bond altogether, but he's acting as a consultant. But they are able to convince Connery, who was then 52 at the time. It's hard to believe any of these guys were ever under 50, because 50 is such a youthful age.
I know. Yes.
Old man.
But they only convinced him to come back.
Oh, my back.
They only convinced him to come back one last time after offering him $5 million plus 5% of the U.S. box office.
Because they knew he was bankable and people were missing him because of the underperformance of who'd replaced him.
And in a wink to his decision to return, the Thunderball remake, because recall, this is McClory's Thunderball. Thunderball's already made into a movie. So they're essentially tweaking Thunderball to make a hit, now McClory's version of it, with Connery. And instead they title it Never Say Never Again, which is a wink at his decision, saying he would not come back, and he's coming back now for a second time, which was a suggestion made by Connery's wife. Meanwhile, over at Eon's studios, the Cubby Broccoli, who is Broccoli, and who was the other guy? There's 2 guys that produced these. They're Eon. Can't remember. I always remember Broccoli seeing his name in the title. Anyway,
that's a funny name.
Anyway, they're moving forward with their James Bond films, which I think every Bond film has always made money. I think that's it's like the only franchise to always make money. But Moore, for his part, planned on giving up on 007 as well after 1981's For Your Eyes Only, which was his 5th Bond film. In fact, the rumor was that they had cast James Brolin to take over, which I don't, thank goodness that never happened, but you can't ever have a non-British person play Bond. I mean, please don't.
Yeah.
But after they learned about Connery coming back for Never Say Never Again, they offered 55-year-old Moore the same salary, $5 million plus 5% of the U.S. box office, and that was enough to get him to come back for another film. So, so maybe there's space for 2 Roadhouses.
And similarly, Moore was also concerned about his age, playing Bond at that age, coming back. That was one of his key concerns. He's like, it just doesn't feel right, gallivanting around with these Bond girls that are in their 20s. He's like, it just feels icky to me. And he commented. It gave old guys hope, but it felt icky to him.
My first Bond movie was Moonraker. Okay. And what year was that?
Came out in 1979. There
you go. I was not aware there were any other actors playing this role. I just thought it was Roger Moore. So I forget. At some point, I realized, he's not the only one. Well, who's that clown? Like about Sean Connery. I thought, well, why is he playing the role that like, so Roger Moore was like my Bond, my original Bond.
So Will, how did that fit in with your worldview? Because there was a time when you didn't realize actors were actors. So did this post-date that or Bond?
John, I was just
Bond had to be very confusing for you.
I was probably confused, but the one thing about my dad is still like this today. He likes to talk about, hey, this actor, I do this to my family, drives me crazy. Hey, I like when my dad does this for me though, and always have. Hey, this actor actually used to star on Gunsmoke. He had a part, all the details about these actors. And Bond was one of those ones that he kept me like apprised of. This was the first Bond. This is the next Bond. This guy's taking over.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
I feel like I remember he and I both being confused about the 2 films. But as far as it's funny you say that, John, because my first thought was, did I even notice? But but for that, I probably wouldn't have noticed.
Well, maybe an actor could play James Bond, but only Superman could be Superman. So that made sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yes, I thought Superman was a real person.
Exactly. Right. Understandable. Yeah. Beloved.
Yeah.
Brandon says Bautista would be cooler to see. Yeah, he played a bad guy in a Daniel Craig Bond movie, and he was good.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Wild thing, pre-90s Bonds are the best Bonds, older the better. Yeah, I did like Casino Royale with Daniel Craig. I thought that was really fantastic. And the second one was pretty good. And I like how they tie together, but then they started going off the goddamn rails.
Yeah. And the 3-hour finale one was intolerable. I watched it because it's Bond. But
if you read about how Moore and Connery talk about their different takes on the character and therefore the films, Moore is a self-described clown. And so he would look for the comedy in the character, and among the action, among the drama. And Connery would play it as serious as the situation would be, as if it were real, kind of the Crispin Glover approach to Back to the Future. And we got different types of Bonds, but as a result, some are a little more silly than others. In fact, Roger Moore literally dresses as a clown in For Your Eyes Only, I think it is. But it reminds me that the Daniel Craig films, for some reason, like 2-3 films in, they started going more of the Moore route. And I love the heavy dark tone of Casino Royale, but we started getting jokes and a lot of gadgets and jokes about the gadgets and punchlines like we had in the 80s. It's just like punchlines. That's not what I mean. Tags. What do they call those things? You know what I'm talking about? Catchphrases.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah. Anyway.
Eat my shorts.
Brandon says, I'm all about Pierce Brosnan as Bond, but just because it ties into the GoldenEye Nintendo 64 game. Yeah, that's a great game.
I really appreciated Brosnan. That's one of those things with Brosnan. I know we're not talking about all the Bonds we enjoy, but I was disappointed when I heard he auditioned for it and couldn't get it because Remington Steele wouldn't release him and thought, because he was so perfect. And then I figured that ship had sailed and I could not believe later he got a second run at it and they brought him in. I'm like, I thought that ship had sailed. And now he finally got the role. I'm like, perfect. You're the perfect guy. Yeah, Brosnan he's probably, he's in my top 3. He vacillates depending on which film, but he's in my top 3 of Bonds, along with, Connery, of course, and Craig.
Yeah. Yeah, same for him. I think early on they were great and they started, I don't know. I don't know if there's been any Bond where a consistent run of all great films. I don't know.
Maybe Connery?
Yeah, maybe. Except for maybe Never Say Never Again. I don't know. But that's like again, I don't, does it even count? I guess it does.
Right. Right.
Ted says the theory that Sean Connery was James Bond in The Rock is a brilliant thesis. Yeah, I love how they play with that.
Your best. Losers always whine about their best. The winners go home and boop, the problem.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Hey, another 1980s news, as reported by The Wrap, Zeb Wells to write Buck Rogers movie at Legendary. Deadpool and Wolverine writer Zeb Wells has been tapped to write the latest draft of the swashbuckling sci-fi hero, Buck Rogers. The project is based on the Armageddon 2419 Buck Rogers character 1928 novella by Philip Francis. I didn't know this. It centers on a coal mine inspector who awakens from suspended animation after 500 years to find himself in the middle of a planetary war.
How very specific.
Really?
A coal mine inspector.
Now, as you know, obviously, I'm sure folks that are even remotely familiar with Buck Rogers as a character, they knew it began as a comic strip. It was made into movie serials long ago, radio programs. John's probably a fan of the radio shows. And ultimately, the success of Star Wars got us this late 1970s TV series from prolific producer Glenn Larson. I don't recall, and actually the pilot for that, I believe, was released in movie theaters as a film before the series started. I don't recall if they go back all the way to Coal Miner's Daughter era of it, but that'd be cool to see,
daughter.
if you, the whole coal mine thing. Huh. Anyway, I was a big fan of that show. Of course, it starred Gil Gerard as the swashbuckling sci-fi hero, and Aaron Gray and Mel Blanc, and a rotating cast of interesting characters, much like sci-fi shows even still today. It ran for just 2 seasons, though. I'm surprised about that, from 1979 through 1981. Anyway, so back to today. So yeah, Wells, who wrote the Deadpool and Wolverine's working on it. They also wrote for Marvel, and other credits include the limited series Marvel Zombies, which I started watching. I never finished it. It was fine.
There's got to be a folk song in there somewhere, right? You load 16 tons, and what do you get?
Laser sound.
You get Dr. Theopolis and a monkey as a pet. That's all I got.
Oh.
I don't know.
You didn't mention Tweaky.
Yeah, I said Mel Blanc, voice actor Mel Blanc.
Oh, you said Mel Blanc. Oh, sorry.
He was Tweaky. Yep.
Oh, yes.
Tweaky.
Yes. You know what? I didn't. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he carried around Dr. Theopolis. He was Dr. Theopolis was a necklace, basically.
Just like
an AI necklace. He was an Alexa.
Now this announcement, as I mentioned, we almost got 2 Buck Rogers, because this announcement just comes a few years after a legal battle for the rights to the futuristic adventure was settled, or so it seems. I mean, it's kind of like the thing with Roadhouse. It's settled enough for folks to move forward, but and I think these guys are going to be okay. It's a little more settled or resolved. But for years, Legendary has been working with the estate of the Chicago newspaper publisher who created the comic strip from the novella, John F. I'm going to say Dill, D-I-L-L-E. Could be Dial, but I'll say Dill. He's the one who serialized the comic strip in 1929 based on Nolan's 1928 novella. He bought out Nolan and then developed the character for comic books, movie serials, all the things I told you about, including the fan favorite TV series. Nolan passed away in 1940, and his widow assigned all remaining rights to Dill. So not only whatever Dill didn't have, he got, presumably through that. But in February of 2021, just a few years ago, a month after Legendary announced George Clooney was joining this production, they received a cease and desist letter from an attorney representing someone purporting to have the rights to the IP. Sometime in the 2000s, Brian and Diane McDevitt, who claim to be the grandchildren of Nolan, the author, began exploring the possibility that they could reclaim their grandfather's rights under revised copyright laws. But the copyright for Armageddon 2419 AD was allowed to expire in 1959. So there were no copyright rights. There's no copyright for the McDevitts to reclaim.
Right.
Nothing left there. The tank is empty.
Yeah. But that didn't stop these folks from, for years, pursuing Buck Rogers' everything by claiming they did have some kind of inherited rights of some kind. And there was a number of different times that the folks were looking to adapt Buck Rogers that they would pop up and say, hang on a second. They were even in talks themselves with some folks to produce a Buck Rogers, a new TV series. It turns out, though, in the past, Brian McDevitt faced a host of legal issues and has been disbarred from practicing law in 3 different states. Curiously, in addition to his ties to the Dill family, he's also a successful screenwriter whose past credits include 1980's G.I. Joe and Transformers and the animated 1986 Transformers the movie.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, in February of 2019, a federal bankruptcy judge ruled in favor of the Dill family trust as the sole owners of the Buck Rogers rights. So there you go. So the Legendary responded to the cease and desist order, said, nah, nope, no you don't. Sorry.
So thus we have 1 Buck Rogers in development instead of 2.
So they're moving forward. I think this is fine. Buck Rogers is such, look, we had the show in the 70s, but this was something that our parents maybe would have gotten excited about, I think. It was fine. I mean, it was fine for me, but like we had so much a deluge of sci-fi stuff that was I connected more to that having a Buck Rogers anything now, it's like I don't really care. I feel no emotional, nostalgic, any other connection to it. I loved the show at the time, but that was it.
I feel similarly. I remember watching it. It hits a nostalgia button in me, but yeah, it's not something
that's the sound Cat makes.
It's not something I need to. I don't need more of it.
Somehow I always felt that Buck Rogers fell thematically somewhere in between Star Trek and Star Wars. It's very much more fantasy like Star Wars is. But it does have a little more of the technological futurism, I guess, that Star Trek has. Well, it's not like either of them, really. It's kind of an interesting blending. It takes a bit from both of those, which, I mean, it predated them both. But I mean, my point is what they ended up producing with Gil Gerard ended up being kind of, that makes sense. Here's some popular franchises. We have this IP. Let's make it like the 2 that everybody kind of already likes. And maybe it didn't appeal to either nearly as much.
And maybe for me, that's true as well. Yeah, it seemed more like it felt like the dynasty of sci-fi shows to me. It felt like something that my parents should be more interested in than like a Star Wars, which was it was much a lot more high adventure.
Yeah, this was like like an evening soap opera.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the recollection anyway.
Right. It wasn't serialized, but it was heavily based, of course, on those old serial comics that were very much serialized. And of course, the early, 40s, you'd go to the movies and see the latest episode of Buck Rogers.
Right.
Because they were super serialized, which not entirely, unlike what kind of drove many of our, like Raiders was kind of based on those the Sunday matinee serialized things, and Buck Rogers was another one of those.
The cliffhangers.
Yeah.
Wild Thing says, do we really want a new Buck Rogers bitty bitty? Buck was kind of lame. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
First season was solid. Second season, a little. It was a chasm between the first and second season of quality. Yeah.
Erin Gray was on that show. And she was gorgeous.
Oh,
as a kid, that was enough at the time. Karen says, I liked Pierce Brosnan's Bond too. Oh, she's saying that to Brandon. That's a private
I'm with you, Karen.
Brandon.
Yep.
Oops.
Don't read that. Don't read what if you do.
Sorry, guys. I used to get Buck Rogers and Flash Gordon confused, Karen adds.
Oops.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a kind of thing, right? I guess. Hey, so you may recall that I mentioned that Glenn Larson created the show. Let me see. Is this how I want to do this? No. All right. So as a side note, Stu Phillips wrote the theme for Buck Rogers. He also wrote the theme for many, many shows. And many of them are Glenn Larson productions, including Battlestar Galactica and Knight Rider.
Ooh.
Which reminds me of this next story, because otherwise in 1980s news, Doja Cat, who's a contemporary artist, if you're not familiar, it takes listeners back in time with a 1980s inspired album. Now, look, I just interviewed Chris Camiso. I like this guy a lot. He's such a nice person, and I don't know. There's just something like really genuine and great about him. But he's a guy that writes music that's inspired by the 80s because that's his era. We've got plenty of folks doing this, including even Doja Cat, whose new album. Let's see, it's a French word. V.
Yes. V.
Okay, there you go.
Yes.
has heralded her return to pop music after her 2023 rap record, Scarlet. This album marries her pop princess persona and her technically advanced rapping prowess. Across the project are her signature ad-libs, layered vocals, and creative delivery. Notably, the album marks her first collaboration with famed pop producer Jack Antonoff, who produced 9 out of the 15 tracks on the record and may very well be credited for bringing us back to the 1980s with her new sound. Which is, to get there, just like Chris's music, it relies, on the drum beats and the synths, the arrangements. And here, I give an example. I got a couple examples for you. First, this one is from a track of hers called Jealous Time.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I can hear that.
Oh yeah.
For me, if it's I don't know, so this kind of stuff, if it's upbeat, of course, it hits the right, like you're talking about Buck Rogers, the button for me. Yeah, I'm adding that to my liked songs, and it'll be something I'll put in rotation because it's uplifting, it's similar, it's familiar, it's new. But even more so than that, there's a standout for me on that album, and it's called Amen. Not as in the prayer, but as in man. Because it samples the theme.
As in shock and surprise.
Maybe both, though.
Yeah, maybe. Wait till you hear it, I guess. It samples the theme from 1982's Knight Rider. And here's a little clip of that. And look, you can put anything to this. I'll just listen to the theme. I love this theme so much. But you put anything to this, I'm there.
It is Woo!
He's a fight to the death. He's a gun to my head. An impossible friend. Would you take every breath?
It goes on from there.
Yes.
But
you stopped it just before it got quite profane.
Oh my. Yes, John. Yes, it's quite a song.
It was not my intention.
Starts off like, it's Knight Rider. Yeah. Oh my.
Oh.
Goodness gracious.
Some other kind of rider. Yes.
What?
Day rider, afternoon rider, all sorts of riding going on.
I did not get that far in the song.
Oh dear.
Well, you need to.
I am shocked.
Will's the one that, Playboy for the articles. Oh, I didn't even notice there's naked ladies in it.
What? Am I hearing this now too?
And she's not particular about with whom she's riding, based on what I've heard.
I got to listen to the whole song.
You should.
You should.
And read the lyrics as it goes by.
I got a couple.
That's what I was doing.
I got a couple bars in, and I just switched over to the theme. I was like, I just really want the theme. Per Who Sampled, we talked about this once upon a time. The theme for the 1980s TV show was sampled in at least 52 songs, including those by System of a Down, CeeLo Green, and Busta Rhymes, which is one of my favorites, is the Busta Rhymes song. And of course, if you may recall as well, that this theme, which as I mentioned was written by Stu Phillips with Gary Larson, is itself sort of a sample, or rather an interpolation from the ballet Sylvia.
Interpolation.
By Leo Delibes, I'll say. And here's a clip of that because I think this is so fun.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, I think that's pretty damn cool.
I remember now. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yep. Mm-hmm. You'll remember that I had mentioned it to Luxury, and then he made a video about it and thanked me. Yes.
Yes. Sometimes you got credit. Oh, wait, what?
We'll add it in later, John. I got you.
I knew you would. You fix it for me.
Oh, yes.
It's almost better when you,
You like the acapella air horn better? Is that what you're saying?
No. I mean, I like when you do it.
When you edit it in.
I meant the opposite. Oh. When you do it off your board.
Oh.
It's so like such a interruption, like such a...
Where did the air horn go anyway? We've had a couple opportunities recently. And
a crunchy issue that I'm debating working on.
Oh, okay.
Dominic says, hey, Dom, Knight Rider house music. Yeah, I know, right? That whole track, it's something that I'd want to DJ with, yeah. And also, Karen says there's...
dependent on where. Careful.
New Year's Eve in my basement. That's... I'm waiting for all these neighborhood kids to get old enough. I don't have to worry about what I play on the music. Or their parents to get hip, you know what I'm saying?
This one still. Oh.
Get with it, you old geezers. The kids have the internet.
It's funny because, we do New Year's here at my house, and we set up a little cabaret in my basement, and we do karaoke. And sometimes the kids choose songs where the parents are sitting there like, what? Like stunned what their children are singing about. And the child is maybe so young sometimes that they don't even know what they're singing about. So it's innocent, but and the parents are good spirited enough. They let them go on, not running out. No, stop, honey, no, not wet ass again. 1980. So, and otherwise in 1980s news, while Doja Cat does not, at least the part we heard, we don't hear her demonstrating her rap skills, which she does get to. In spite of that, this song did not chart in the top 40. It also didn't chart yet at all on the Billboard Hot 100, in spite of already having over 10 million streams on Spotify. I don't really know. It's like new world order. Like, I don't know how you keep track of anything, what's popular anymore.
I don't know.
All these metrics. But speaking of that, it turns out that we had no rap songs in the Billboard Hot 100's top 40 during the week of October 25th. And while that might not seem particularly remarkable, it was the first time that's happened since 1990.
It's almost a commentary on what's happening with current rap, isn't it? It's like, is it not so much? Or is it a factor of, you said, all the streaming going on, it's hard to measure? Who knows?
Yeah, and I've read a couple of articles about this that struggle with that. Obviously, like you're suggesting, John, you've suggested, two of the theories. For me, yeah. One of it is, I guess my theory in short is contemporary rap music sucks. But that doesn't account for it really, right?
I was thinking of that.
Because tastes evolve, and we're not the folks who are consuming the music that gets on the top 40 generally. So,
Fair.
So that's probably not it. But yeah, it's in part the second thing that you said, John, because we've talked about this concept before, but it seems like the Billboard's made another adjustment recently where they move songs that they call recurrent, or they move them into the recurrent category more often than they used to. And what the recurrent category is if you've been on the charts for too long and you're starting to slip, they take you off. And one of the reasons is, I think because of how we do consume music, you wind up getting these songs that are on charts for weeks and weeks, far longer than they were on the, in the top 40 when we were kids. Where you remember Casey Kasem was, every couple of weeks you might have the same song moving around, but 3 weeks, 6 weeks was like a run, right? I mean,
right.
Yeah.
No, I think I don't see if I have it here. I think it was it Kendrick Lamar or Teddy Swim's song that was on like, oh, here it is. Teddy Swim's "Lose Control" took up real estate, according to this article, for upwards of a year.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah. So they moved a bunch of songs off of the chart, as they do, the week of October 25th, just a couple of weeks ago, which allowed space for other songs to rush in and take over, but none of those new songs were rap. Now, part of it, it may be due to the songs that are on there right now, and part of it, again, is like I mentioned, once you get these things sort of popular, they sort of just jam up the works, because you've got 12 songs on there from Taylor Swift's latest album, The Life of a Showgirl, are still in the top 40.
Yeah.
All of them.
And 7 songs. The album, yeah, it's got to be, right?
Yes.
It's like Michael Jackson's Thriller situation, almost, And
7 songs from K-pop Demon Hunters are up there too. Wow. So you've got almost like half, basically, of the top 40 are 2 different albums.
So to illustrate your fact from moments ago, interestingly, I have this information in my head because just a few weeks ago, over on Gen X Grown Up, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of the Billboard Hot 100 number ones from 1985. Okay. And it was difficult. There was 1 song for 4 weeks, which was We Are the World. There were 3 songs at 3 weeks and 11 songs at 2 weeks. The rest were 1 week. That's how many good songs were coming out in the 1980s, especially mid 80s, 85. You couldn't stay on the charts because something was right behind you, killing the killer. And you didn't have whole albums dominating the charts. You had every week there was like, whoa, what's this new hotness? What's this new artist?
Yeah.
And Yeah, it illustrates your point of like kind of you couldn't stay on the charts that long back then.
Yeah, but what's strange about that is we had talked some time ago about how, I may be getting this number wrong, but it's something like 125,000 new songs are published every day.
Every second.
So there you go. 250,000.
There's some more. Okay.
So I think, so like you're saying, there's so many good songs. So yeah, I guess it speaks to that thing again, where just numerically we've got a lot of songs quantitatively, but yeah, where's the quality that's able to fight through all this noise? In Stereo Gum's Tom Brian, who wrote this article that I'm taking much of this information from, asks, why is rap music currently unable to produce its own Taylor Swift or K-pop demon hunters? He notes a couple of things. One being that the real rock or rap superstars that we've had in recent years are not really producing that much rap music anymore. And he cites in particular Drake and Kendrick Lamar, who don't crank things out even nearly as prolifically as a Taylor Swift, for example. And also he points out that once a staple of pop music, which began back in the 1990s, you don't have folks who are guesting to do a rap break in the middle of a pop song that may land them on a rap or may land a rap, quote unquote, rap song on a pop chart. Yeah. As a side note, the last time we didn't have a rap song in the top 40 was February 2nd, 1990, when Biz Markie's Just a Friend was sitting at number 41. This is just before it peaked at number 9.
It popped after that, didn't it? It came up. It came up good.
There.
Yep.
Yeah, you couldn't turn on the radio without hearing it.
Whoa, baby, you. Guess what I need?
This is before we saw a lot more crossover rap starting to flood the top 40, including Ice Ice Baby, which would come 7 months after that.
Stop.
Anyway.
Collaborate and listen.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, thinking about all that, it makes me think that, and again, I started off and John said maybe the rap music just sucks or there's no breakthrough.
Paraphrasing.
In all honesty, taste change. So what I think, what John and I think sucks, other kids love. And there's oftentimes my youngest will introduce me to songs that are rap songs. I'm like, yuck, that's terrible. But sometimes I'm like, this is to me, and again, I'm not certainly not a be all. I can't. I'm not the final say in this sort of thing. But I do think I have a sensibility for what I consider. I do. Not I think. I do. I don't know if it's consistent with anybody else. For what is authentic hip hop music.
Sure.
Right, and maybe even distinguished from rap music. That said, I've got good news for you because we've got a veteran hip hop producer and rapper whose first album dropped way back in 1989. Just released his first new album in 30 years. I'm talking about Kwamé, who is an award-winning producer.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember Kwamé?
I do.
As I mentioned, Kwamé released his debut album in 1989. He produced Kwame the Boy Genius, featuring A New Beginning, with the legendary Herbie Lovebug, who's the guy who produced Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play.
Ketchup and mustard.
All the condiments. And all the children.
Paprika and cumin.
Yes. Oh, yeah. From the West Indies.
Yes.
Among the many, I had this on cassette. And this came out in 1989, as I mentioned. This was the infamous summer when my friend and I had a summer job what led to us having to flee the building after asking for a raise. Yes. But we would listen to this cassette on the way to work, I think I drove or he drove. And it was one of those things, we had like 2 cassettes in the car, and this was one that was just on repeat. It's just a fantastic record. If you can't recall any of his music, you probably are familiar with his style, because I believe you can sincerely give him all the credit for ushering in the era of giant polka dots on clothing. And
okay.
baggy pant look and a scarf.
I used to watch Bozo the Clown now in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe he popularized it.
Yes, right.
Okay, I'll give him that.
But
yeah, if you think about the Fly Guys on In Living Color, how they dressed, I think that could be tied straight to Kwame's look in his music videos. Anyway, he's back, and I'm super excited about it because it's a fantastic record that I said, it sounds like something that could have been easily made in the 1980s. Its use of samples and drum beats, and it's his usual braggadocious style, but the raps are witty. Some of them are, poignant as far as social commentary. his perspective on life as a man in his 50s. He's our age. He has different things to rap about, which I think is really cool. And he's also a super nerd. He's a toy collector. He's into video games, movies. So a lot of these things feature in his music. John, was that the equivalent of John getting erect?
John is
sitting
excited.
Erect. He was sitting
His
erect.
button was pressed.
John is
popping fresh.
John is popping fresh. Yeah. But yeah, so some of these topics, I think it's just fantastic. Anyway, the new album is called The Different Kids. And when asked about the title, he said it's because it explains how I always felt as a person. I didn't necessarily align with the mainstream life. I've always felt different. Putting the kids as part of the title as plural, it's a double thing. It speaks to people who used to get my music. I would refer to them as the different kids. Let's see. Don't I have a clip here? I think I got a clip here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, but this song also includes a sample from a TV show, and I want to see if you guys can identify it. Actually,
all right.
It's a theme song for our show, sliced up in a clever way, as the lyrics of the theme song complete or begin or fill in sentences from his lyrics.
Oh,
if you can follow what I'm saying.
All right, I don't, but I'll try.
Here's Stroke Different.
All right.
Now let's play a game of 52 pickup. It's a stick up. Thieves gotta eat, cause I'm smooth when I move with the heat bounce. Now switch up. Y'all should know I'm dumb on these. Flow infinite, y'all know where I'm from. Queens, New York. Where the hell you thought? Make your girl slide back like she do the moonwalk. True talk. Every season is officially on March 28th. Transform sound waves and Megatron guns.
John's got it.
Millions of Batmobiles on my lawn.
Oh, Cat's got it.
that's cool.
So what is it?
John, you want to say?
What's the name of it? It's Facts of Life. I couldn't get to it. It was the Four Girls, right? Oh no, it's Different Strokes. Different Strokes.
Yes,
Damn it, it's Different Strokes.
Yep.
Damn it, Different Strokes. I was trying to get to the don't move to the beat of just one drum. Maybe right for you.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that Facts of Life? No, Different Strokes. Got it. Different Strokes.
It's a spin-off.
Yeah. I didn't get to that part of the song yet.
I have to do that same
What
thing.
is it? It takes facts of life to move the world. Yes, it does. It takes facts of life to move the world.
And there's a lot going on in there. It was hard to
It takes different strokes.
Yeah.
Yes, different strokes.
It's a super clever song. And the song itself is called Stroke Different.
That was also a clue.
Yeah, it's really cool though. It hasn't seemed to miss a step as far as his skill, his ability to produce, because he ultimately was a producer that worked with a number of huge acts like Christina Aguilera, Will Smith, Mary J. Blige. The amount of records he helped, sell as far as that he worked on is somewhere upwards of 30 million. We're talking about platinum, recording artists. Anyway, between that, his production skills and his lyrics, etc., his flow, I think he hasn't lost it. This maybe I like this album even better than his first.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Yeah. Anyway, I recommend it. It's called The Different Kids by Kwamé. I think his name is Kwamé. Hey. All right, there we go. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's not getting back to me. Whatever.
Aw, keep trying.
What else? Anything else to talk about? Oh yeah. Hey, all right. So elsewhere in 1980s news, speaking of collecting, as I mentioned, he's a big collector. In fact, on social media, he said he was going to open a toy store, I think, next year somewhere.
Oh.
I can't remember where he's at. He's down in the South somewhere, John. Maybe Atlanta.
Like, I want to know what he collects. Like, what kind of stuff? I got to dig in. I got to
Yeah. If you check him out on social media, some of his stuff is just, like unboxings or talking about stuff he has.
Is he going to open a toy store of just stuff that he has? Stuff he's collected?
You don't want to sell that
much
stuff.
Yeah, I think that's his collection.
Okay. Yeah,
if you sell it, I don't think
downsizing.
Can it be called a collection if you sell it?
If you want to buy my stuff, you got to come to my estate sale.
Oh, yes. No.
You want my record, Ralph? You'll have to pull it from my cold, dead hand. All right. Hey, elsewhere in 1980s news, as reported by Gizmodo, Hasbro is hitting the grid for its next HasLab. Whatever. It's official. Hasbro is bringing Tron. Hasbro's doing what Disney couldn't. Bringing Tron back to life.
Oh, whoops.
Oh, wow. Yeah. No.
So confirmed at New York Comic-Con in October.
Poor Aries.
The toy maker, I loved it just like you. The toy maker revealed its Tron action figures, a deluxe 5-figure collection that will form the next entry in the toy maker's crowd-backed HasLab series. I think the easiest way to show it to you is just go to the website here, which I had up. Tron Heroes of the Grid is what they're calling it. Will feature 3/3 scaled figures of key characters from the beloved 1982 movie, as well as, maybe we should just pause there. Okay, let's look at the characters here. All right. So you've got Tron himself. Let's see, I'll scroll back here. Here's Tron. Of course, you've got Flynn.
He fights for the users.
Yeah. Yes, and it says, according to this, he's got a hovering disc.
You should see a doctor about that.
Oh my!
How do I get this to go back down? It's been longer than 4 hours. It's still hovering.
I had hovering disc once, and
I learned about Kwamé's new album, and I've been popping fresh ever since. What else? All right, so you got Flynn there, right? And really, you've got Yori. Oh, this just makes me sad for Cindy Morgan, but yeah, you've got Yori as well. But in addition to those figures, we've got, and this is some of them in action here. I think this is kind of cool how they posed them. They look highly posable.
There's that floating disc in action. Yeah. Sure.
Yes.
In addition to those, you've got some of the villains of the piece as well, including Sark, just wonderfully played by David Warner in the film, and a generic program who looks much like the other characters, except of course has red highlights because that's how we know he's bad. But even more exciting than that is that the set is going to be complete with 2 light cycles with Trail FX pieces and a USB-powered light-up base to display them all.
Neat.
Let me see that there.
That's cool.
I think this is a cool shot right here. We see an image of the figures actually in the light cycle, and it seems very much like the angle that the cameras filmed them at various points in the 1982 film. We could see them peeking out through the sort of cockpit of the cycle there. And if it goes according to plan, they're going to appear on card backs like the figures of the era did. I think this looks like a tremendous presentation. Looks like great figures. I'm super excited about it.
The worst part of them being on card backs is now you want to buy 2 sets to keep one on the cards and one on the stand. Oh, damn it. Sneaky.
You're right. And now, how does that work with this stand here? Does that mean you have 5? Everything comes in its own box, and they also give you the stand?
Oh, no. So the set is separate. So you can get the set. See the $260 there if you want that set on the grid and everything.
Gotcha.
There you go.
Yeah.
So they may not sell that individually. It may come with all the pieces, and you get it or you don't.
Let's see. The display stand is a 1 1/18 scale display stand, replicating the electronic frontier of the grid. Blah, blah, blah. It tells the size about that. Backdrop lit by LEDs to give everything a suitably glowing 80s vibe. Yeah, there you go. So it is running right now. As John mentioned, it's $260 to get to become one of the backers. It's going to run through November 24th and is supposed to start shipping as soon as fall of next year. So Merry Christmas, John. Now, I don't know how these things work, John. I'm looking. We're on the website right now as we record this, and at the bottom it says there's target is 10,000 backers. It doesn't have a dollar figure. It has a number of backers. We could do that.
Yeah, so this is a different crowdfunding thing. This is not Indiegogo or Kickstarter. This is Pulse, I think, right? Yes. So you get a certain number of backers because not everybody wants the same thing. Maybe somebody wants the carded figures. Maybe somebody wants this collector set. Maybe somebody. So they just need that many people interested in order to make the line.
I see.
So it's quite a bit different than Kickstarter. You end up with the same result. They just go, let's take the least expensive item. If 10,000 people did that, is it worth doing? Okay, then there's the number, so we can get it done.
So people are still making a financial commitment, but it's not all that huge set. Somebody could commit to just
I'm sure there's different tiers, just like there are on Kickstarter. You can, I want to fund it at this level or this level, or I want to buy 2 of them or 5 of them, or I want to buy this in the collector's book that goes with it or whatever. So you can pick like tiers there. They just need that many customers, I guess. I've never used Pulse, but I've heard somebody talk about it before, so I understand a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they have to reach that 10,000 threshold or not. It doesn't say. And I guess I'm a little, maybe am I surprised? I don't know what they're expected to be as far as their growth at this point. It's been open for, I think, a couple of weeks, and they're at around, 1,100 or 1,200 people, I think it said, and they want to get to 10,000. It seems like a slow start. Yeah. But
it is a slow start. But it's also on a smaller platform. If it were on Kickstarter, maybe, but it could be something to do with fees or licensing or who knows.
Yeah, I hope it works out. I don't know that I'd buy the whole set, but I don't know. I'd buy a Flynn or a Yori or something like that. That would be cool.
And a light cycle.
Oh, and a light cycle. Oh my God. Let's see. What do we got here? Karen says fancy Frisbees. Ted says same size as Micronauts. That's another one that could interact with my Star Wars figures, right?
Yeah. Starhawks. 3 3/4.
Oh, yeah. Wild Thing says, I love Tron, but don't really want action figures. Seems odd. Yeah, collectibles. They're not dolls. They're not dolls, Mom. Karen says, it's amazing to see how much better likenesses are for toys. I saw the Jeff Goldblum Wicked Wizard of Oz, and it looks amazing. Yeah.
Ooh.
All right, hey, that's the show. Let's go eat dinner.
Well, before we eat dinner, we need to thank some people. Yeah. Like our early adopters, Rick Parker and Karen Flieger.
Yes.
Karen is here with us tonight. Oh, and yes, also, thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters, Marcus Taylor, Matt Marino, John Henderson, and Brendan Greer.
Go, Brent.
Who is here tonight as well.
Yeah. Hey, guys, thank you so very much. Eternally grateful. You know, as we near this, we're starting to near we're in November now, so we're nearing the Thanksgiving era. I don't know, Thanksgiving time.
Yes.
But we don't need this a holiday to remind us of how grateful we are for you guys. We're grateful every day, but especially thanks to you for helping us keep the show going. If you'd like to join, go to patreon.com/1980s now. And you can do that. Or come hang out with us on Facebook or YouTube and give us your wise cracks and observations, etc. on our live 6 p.m. Eastern most Wednesdays. All right, hey, we will talk to you next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Just walk like a cowboy with crabs.
Not just with crabs, a cowboy with crabs.
Imagine how wide a stance that'd have to be.